So breaking down movements as far as like basics, the drills, okay? For one is knowing how do I stand when I'm actually drilling. Now I have my feet pointed out. I have my feet straight. So for me, being straight is very balanced, right? And then I learned to, I can adjust my knees. And by doing so, it helps also my arches in my feet. You can see my feet move. And this is a lot of how I control my animation from the ground up. Instead of pushing on the ground, I'm actually bouncing off the ground. So it's a different essence. Also, when I'm doing my glides, I feel like I'm moving the earth as opposed to gliding on the earth. So these are different elements in my mind that I've created, which is why my style is so heavy, but at the same time, my feet look so light. So learning to understand how to control that. A lot of your IT bands and the muscles here will be burnt out, so will your calves. But that's perfectly fine because you eventually get stronger, so don't cry about it, all right? Secondly, knowing how to engage the core and still be able to breathe and create movement. So a lot of this is pretty much at attention. It's engaged, as the way I put it. So from the toes all the way to here creates this magical triangle of balance, right? So I can literally show that I'm using just my leg muscles, my core in every way, just by bouncing my body back and forth. This naturally keeps my body nice and compressed, nice and tight. Once I take a step, the engagement changes because now it's only in one foot. So now my leg is fully engaged and I'm balanced in between. My knee is figuring out what it wants to do. So these are things to understand when you know your balance, how to get up and then get back down. The other thing is the timing of the way your foot lifts. The fact that when I take a walk, I'm learning how to control my heel press to go up and down. And this naturally changes my posture. So it makes my whole entire body move with just a minimal effort of my foot. It also gives my mind the idea that I'm about to walk. So this is a very good understanding of how to really control your heel and your bounce. So this is like an internal dance, is the way I put it. I've learned to make all these little minimal things of a way of grooving. So learning how to do that back and forth. Ba-ba, ba-boom, ba-ba. So it's like up, release, down, back into engagement. Now I'm locked into this position. And the same thing reversing. It's like rolling back. Whoop, whoop, up, down, boom. Now I'm back into being grounded. Same thing here. Boom, 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 boom. So learning how to use these elements are basically learning how to use the bottom of your feet in a way where it allows your body to really shift. Now, as soon as I turn my toes in a different direction, my body language will change once again, right? So I go here to my heel, turn. Now my whole entire body actually goes in the direction that my toes are pointing, which is why it's so crucial to understand how you stand, where your stance is, because if I'm here, then my body will naturally follow where my toes point. And that's where you create that really goofy walk, right? Same thing if I point my toes in. It's gonna be a really awkward way of moving because your toes are basically trying to readjust themselves. So this is gonna be a fight. It's really just a simple exercise that you can do daily. I had to learn it daily, so you can do it too. But fighting to actually create a straight stance. And the beautiful thing about keeping your toes straight is you choose where your toes want to go, which is the choice of you being able to walk in any direction you want and giving yourself more of a dynamic feel. Learning that I can walk in a complete square and give myself that timing and that feel. So that's where a lot of my footwork and control comes from, is learning how to actually keep my feet separated and then keep them straight at the same time. Because the one thing you don't want to do, I wouldn't say don't, but the one thing you want to veer from is walking in a straight line or keeping your feet together. Because this is just a different form. Like this is more of a position than actual stance. You know, it makes so much more of a difference, especially for animation, because here I can create my pocket by relaxing my knees. If I relax my knees but engage my feet, now I have more control of my pocket. So I'm able to really create from my hip shifting. I can really show a dynamic of movement internal without actually doing a whole lot of hip movement. So because my knees are basically like springs, I can really create so much more of a dynamic feel. And I can create this illusion that I'm actually in motion. You can really use your knees to create like an actual walk. But once you start moving your feet, your body will change. And you start to really create these like minimal movements in between, and it's like a whole different setup. So try to play with like shifting. If this leg is straight, my hip is gonna be up, of course. If this leg is bent, it's gonna be down. So shifting and trying to really see how that feels. Keeping your core engaged, keeping your legs in control, and then shifting your weight, turning, same thing happens. Lifting your leg up, taking the time to go up, down, boom, being flat, up, down, boom, being flat. Like really take the time to understand how to make this connection over and over and over again. That is the discipline, but that's also what teaches you like the actual patience. Patience and the control. So patience is gonna be a valuable thing, but apply it to music and learn how it changes. Take away the dominant factor in your mind that you have to pop on the clap. Eliminate that for this moment. All right, so being able that I can use the boom as a motion, I'm gonna go boom, clap, boom, clap, reset, boom, clap. So I'm using like an actual pop or a hit to create motion, boom, ha. So that really, and still maintaining that control, you're doing multiple things at one time. So this is a lot of information for the body and for the brain to try to adjust. So this will take time, but learning how to boom, ha, boom, ha, boom, ha, boom, ha, boom, ha, boom, ha, boom, lock into position and use it to actually pop yourself right back into another position. Boom, ha, boom, ha. So this is very crucial for an animated effect because it helps your dime stop. Because it's not about the actual pop, it's about the release. You're actually engaged, releasing, and then right back into engagement. So you're learning how to actually create a dime stop without even being fully aware of the fact that you're doing that. So these are crucial things for positions, all right? To give you a different angle, if I go here, boom, whack, boom, whack, boom, whack, boom, whack, boom. So I'll land into this position, from my foot all the way up to my body. This is basically the timing it takes to really connect these dots. So going to this dime stop positions, right? It's as simple and as hard as knowing what body to use, what body part to use to create a straight line. What is a straight line? Is my hand here? Do I have to be here? Does my hand have to be here? Does it have to be open? Like, there's all these different positions. These are very crucial things. For me, I try to civilianize everything as much as possible. But I'm engaged from fingertips all the way to my neck. So if I'm using a step and an arm angle, everything is locked in place. Even my thumb, I'm not relaxed at all, but I look relaxed. That's the difference. Is learning to understand how to lie to people, but not yourself. Because that's the illusion, is we're creating these squiggly lines because our body waves. But in reality, it's just we're using different parts of our joints to create this illusion that there's an actual wave happening. Crazy when it comes to anatomy, right? So learning control is understanding your angles. Like, how do I want to actually get into this position? Is it a setup? Am I going, or is it just strict? Dum, dum. Like, you have to find what works for you, you know? Being very strict is obviously taking away the actual walk. You're just going from one position to the next and understanding that there's no motion in that. That is the motion. Secondly, the isolated feel is learning the whoomp, whoomp. Like learning that this is my setup into this position. Very civilianized, it's very bent, very relaxed, but it fully engaged from fingertips all the way down to my toes, right? So these are steps that I naturally do to the music as well, right? Using the same concept. Boom, ha, 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 boom, ha. Like learning these elements are very crucial because it teaches me timing and it teaches me how to engage and create bigger movements with just the most simplest things. I don't have to be so enormous. I can just be simple, very controlled, using even a bounce. It's actually only engaged here. I'm not even using my core for this. It's just my shoulder doing most of the work. So you have to kind of figure out what works for you. Exercising your shoulders is very crucial. These circles will help you a lot. There's different ways of understanding the circles as well. Bigger circles obviously take a lot more muscle dynamic and control. So learning this stuff is really good. Same thing here. Understanding how heavy your arm really is also very, how heavy your arm is to your body is very good to understand. What I mean by that is knowing that when you swing, how it affects your body as you show this dynamic of motion. And because the reason I say that is like, it builds momentum for certain movements. If I'm gonna throw myself in this direction, it's because my hand's gonna help me do it. But I'm gonna control the way I fall. Controlling the way you fall is a crucial thing when it comes to knowing how to actually fall with style. And it's creating like a flavor. Like everything you do is basically you catching yourself. Simple as walking. Your legs are catching your body to basically move forward and back over and over. If you jump, you're catching yourself. So it's all about how much control you have of your feet. And that's the key thing to understand when it comes to every step that you take. Because everything is a jump or a step. I guarantee you, even if you're on the ground, you're literally jumping in the air, but you're still grounded in some way, shape, or form. So that's the balance of control, is the illusion that you're throwing yourself and falling, all right? So these are basic steps to understand. When I go from toe, heel, I'm expressing toe, heel. Won't, ba, won't, ba, won't, ba, won't, ba, won't, ba, won't, ba. I'm purposely showing toe, heel. If I'm going heel, toe, it's the same thing. Heel, toe, heel, toe, heel, toe, heel, toe, heel, toe, heel, toe. But I always try to keep that engagement as soon as I land. It creates the illusion that you're in control. Boom, boom, ha, boom, boom, ha, right? The timing of it as well. Boom, boom, clap. Boom, boom, clap. Boom, boom, clap. Try to be as musical as you possibly can with everything that you do. I guarantee you, even if it's your refrigerator making noise in your living room from the kitchen, find a balance and create something with just one foot. It's so fun. Just a side note, right? So if I'm going heel, toe, toe, heel, that's because I'm choosing heel, toe, toe, heel. Heel, toe, toe, heel. Heel, toe, toe, heel. So learning that balance really helps understand what you're doing. And it creates so much more of a dynamic feel, because not every step is going to be the same. I'm doing the same things in one direction because the camera's here. But if I'm in a circle, I can choose how to actually show these steps. Like, there's so many different versions of it, and creating like multiple ways of doing something. Like if I do one toe heel and I'm just stepping, one toe heel and just stepping, one toe heel step, one toe heel step, one toe heel step. It's not really about my right, it's more about my left. If I want to glide this foot back, toe heel slide, toe heel slide, toe heel slide, toe heel slide. I'm giving purpose to this one reason. And I just gave you 2 variations of that. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Right? So, same thing with coming forward. You want to see how dynamic motions can be. Toe heel slide, toe heel slide. Like, you really want to play around with so many different elements so that your feet just have a limited amount of knowledge to create. It's not really about sticking to the same thing over and over again. Give yourself so much more dynamic challenges with your feet, and I guarantee you everything else will fall into place. Promise you that. When it comes to waving, you're learning to do multiple things at once. If I glide with the step and use a wave, boom, 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 boom. Like, you really can create that illusion. That's 2 styles in one right there. So the same thing going this way. Whoop, 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 whoop. Like, you're really showing the timing. Boom, clap, boom, clap. Same thing coming forward. If I wanted to do this, you know, stepping back. Like, learning those dynamics are very crucial because it keeps you from staying in the same spot, trying to push the boundary of the amount of space. I'm limited to this because obviously this is the camera angle, but if I'm on a stage, I'm sitting there taking the biggest steps of my life because I'm like, I'm free, you know? So that's an amazing part about drilling, as you become stronger and stronger, and that compression of strength becomes your expression, you know? So that's the beautiful connection between that, right? So secondly, everybody should know this. Your civilianness of walking, the space you take should be the same amount of space to turn and pivot and come right back into a normal stance. Show you that again. Boom. If I step out this way, it's still gonna be to reset back into my square. If I turn here, I'm in a civilian stance. If I turn here, back here, boom, boom. I'm not putting my feet together. Remember that, this is not the military. You can be very militant without having to be so formal. You get what I mean? So a lot of these steps are very crucial to understand, and your balance of heel-toe activity. Heel-toe activity really helps me create a dynamic of structure within steps because I can choose my positions. I don't always have to go forward. I can go backward. So these are basic dynamics of just a square. And I use a lot of this because I want to show people how simple it is to really do a walkout without having to actually do a full out walkout. But I can still use the walkout material by pointing my toe in the direction I want to go next. Boom, 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 boom. So it connects the mechanics of like an EB style walkout with my own variation of just pointing my toes in the direction I want to go. Then learning how to counter with hits, like with the actual pop. If I'm going boom, ka, boom, ka, boom, ka, boom, ka. If I want to be very mechanical, boom, sh, ka, boom, sh, ka, boom, sh, ka, boom, sh, ka. If If I want to use my arms, boom, ka, shh, boom, ka, shh, boom, ka. If I'm using like different angles, which becomes a lot more complicated. Ta, boom, ta, boom, ta, boom, ta, boom, ta, boom, boom, ta, boom, boom. Like really trying to keep the balance of that. Turns are basically just stepping into the next position that you're about to take, going back into your square. Doom, won't, ba, but finding what toes are being used. A lot of crossover steps. Boom, shoom, boom, ba. Same thing happening there. What was it? What did I just do? Da, boom, sa, boom, sa, boom, ka, boom, sa, boom, ka, boom. Finding your balance again. Trying to maintain that. That's going to be the challenge, is really keeping your feet straight. Knowing when you start to shuffle how this really relates. Ba, ba, boom. Do I want to continue with, boom, boom, ha, boom, ka, doom, ha, boom. Really connecting dots more. So these are like fundamental languages I've created for myself just with the simple essence of standing in a square and then connecting all these squares. So the way I look at it is I'm standing here, so I have a square, basically. Now I have multiple, right? So if I'm using this one here, I'm gonna step in front. If I'm using the one to the right, I'm gonna step in this angle here. The one on the bottom, I'm gonna step back here. The one to the left, I'm gonna match the one that was on my right. And I'm gonna match the one that was in the back to the front, back to my center. So learning these angles are very crucial because once I turn, now I'm in two squares. I have the choice. I can step here, and step back into another square. So you give yourself all these things by using just your feet. Imagine that, right? Then you have the diagonal angles. Diagonal angles are a lot more fun because you can look like you're actually already in a position to walk without even having to take a step. Boom, 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 boom. And now I can actually go in a diagonal and then reset my position coming together. Boom, 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 boom. So I have a lot of different positions to play with. And this is fun because this is literally using a square, like a square axis. If I'm in the center, I'm pointing at a corner, pointing at whether front or back or front, left or right, left or right. So I have these diagrams to play with, right? And that's just a square. So that's the concept behind a lot of what I'm creating for myself. And this is my foundation. So I know that my foundation is already laid out in front of me. That's my playground now. Because now when I choose, if I step out of my square, I don't even have to go back into my squared stance. I can make myself a lot more useful with dynamic range of different positions using this step. It doesn't have to be the same. Do you get what I mean? So what I'm saying is I'm breaking this squareness and saying, okay, I'm gonna connect my heel to my toe or the sides of my foot. And by doing that, it really creates a whole different variation of a walk. So it's not even about being in a straight line. It's just about connecting different angles. So when I'm stepping, I can show the dynamic of this. It's connected from here to my toe back, connected from here to my toe back. So I'm creating this access like this, or as that's what you're seeing. Doom, 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 doom. That's been a useful thing for me for positions because right when I come here, I can really get into character, go back into another character, go back into another character. go back into another character. So it's like being crucial with how you stand also creates character. If you're always here and you're just drilling this over and over, you're not going to really develop character. That's not what I'm creating here. What I'm creating is a playground for your feet. Now your upper body has to connect with being outside of that box. So thinking outside the box really helped me understand I can be goofy-footed. I can be like this. I can show people just walking with my heels as opposed to my toes, and just how that changes my character, you know? This is really funny because this is like a Charlie Chaplin walk. If I have a cane and I'm swinging it, or I'm walking with the cane, it really gives you a different character. So these are fun exercises to do with just the feet. Even if you're being very mechanical and you're showing the dynamic motion of this feel, I'm really showing like how to create that picture. And that's fun tools to play with just the feet. So being very symmetrical, very puzzly. Boom, boom, ka, doom, doom, ka. Like it's so much fun to play with. Becomes different than exercises and different than drills. It becomes now useful, fun, and animated. So these are like, these are things I used to get inspired by from like cartoons, watching cartoons as a kid and seeing all the different walks that they would do and just the funness of like being this character. So you have to really understand how to connect that to your drills. Why is that crucial? Because that helps you carry an entire story with just a walk. So if I'm starting from this position here, and I'm giving you a hunchback, and I'm showing like this, I don't know, I'm not even gonna give it a name, but as soon as I start to look in this angles, everything becomes a whole different feel. And now my body and my gestures are based off of that character alone. But if I add a wave to it, it changes the whole entire thing. And I can even pay attention to what I'm doing by watching the details of the motion. Whoa. Whoa. So I'm giving it more dynamic feel and more character just by changing my stance, changing my look, giving a position to actually direct my wave. Boom, 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 boom. So it's so much more fun to play with when it comes to these drills. And again, mind you, you have to understand how to break these different axes of motions, drill this to create a very beautiful illusion so that when you start to get into this different character, this is second nature and it becomes so much easier to connect, being more expressive, right? So these are fun exercises to do. Again, with these stance, you can be very upright, very almost ballet-ish, or you can be very charismatic, very hunchback-ish if you want. But it's up to you how you want to play it. If you want to be very polite, you can be very polite as well. You can be very controlled and dynamic with, like, again, using the feet, squeezing the ground, engaging all the way up, and then learning how to be very mechanical as well. So learning these crucial things are so much more fun because it gives it a whole different exercise to play with. And then I can really break it down if I wanted to. Boom, da, doom, ka, doom, sh, doom, ka, boom, sh, boom, 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 da, 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 ka, boom, sh, doom, sh, doom, da, doom, sh, woo, 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 woo. So it's really cool to just kind of play with different gestures, and not simply with, it was, the wave was just an extra add-on. It wasn't about the wave, do you understand? It looked like it, but it wasn't. It was really about my stance. My stance created the character, which the wave was just the extra look, you know? But if you really can get into this world of something else, try to live in it as much as possible. Show that you can really dedicate yourself to this. These are crucial elements to help you carry a story. The story starts first with where you are, where you position yourself, how you position yourself. Am I straight first? This is my foundation. I'm not going to show this all the time. So why not be in my comfortable stance, knowing that in my mind, this will always be here to save me if I need it. Get what I mean? So show me that you can dedicate yourself and change everything that I just gave you. Give it something new. Give it something more. Teach me how you actually taught yourself to do this. And I guarantee you, we'll exchange information. We'll share more knowledge about how much more we can create with just our feet, our footwork, our foundation. All right? So, yeah, dedicate yourself. Give yourself some time. And then eventually, we'll work on it together. Peace.